Welcome to the Smarketing Show, hosted by award-winning B2B sales performance coach Rick Lambert, who has been selected by many of the world's most recognized companies to help them market and sell to win. Let's join Rick now.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Smarketing Show. We're so excited to have Ben Baker. Welcome, Ben. He is the communications and strategic messaging leader extraordinaire, and amongst other things like we just chatted about, but you can talk to that. We're going to talk about internal branding today and why that's important. Ben, why don't you just introduce yourself before we get started?
Yeah, just to give your audience, first of all, Rick, Melissa, thank you for having me on the show. Just to give your audience a little bit of background, I started off in tech in the 1980s. I ran the AS400 mainframe at the University of Victoria. I got the Mac lab up and running. I spent the first 8 to 10 years of my life in VAR sales and also working for Ingram Micro. I handled the equivalent of a company called Best Buy in Canada called Future Shop. So I've been around the tech industry a little bit. About 25 years ago, I got tired of being in a plane 200 days a year. I was super elite on 2 airlines and basically, became a retired tech person and got into communications. About 10 years ago, I realized that we communicate as companies pretty well externally. We communicate horribly internally within companies. And my mission has been over the last decade to sit there and help companies communicate more effectively internally, help them tell their brand story, and help them be more effective both inside and outside the company.
Awesome.
So Ben, hey, great to have you on. I've been listening to some of your podcasts, and I thought it'd be great to have you talk to our audience on this topic because you come from a tech background. Mm-hmm. I too have worked with Ingram Micro as a consultant for years. Lived through Y2K, which most Gen Zs and millennials thinks a set of skis. But anyway,
I made a lot of money through Y2K. I'll tell you that much.
Guy, I remember being on the floor, the sales floor, as the clock ticked towards Y2K, and the sales. It was just incredible back then. Talk about a compelling event for tech sales. So as you know, Ben, we're a marketing agency, so we provide obviously the services to communicate a brand message and all that good stuff. And when I was listening to you on one of your podcasts, you were talking about the importance of having an internal brand strategy. And, I was talking to you before today's show, and I said, every 5th social post on a lot of our clients or the text stream and social media is we're hiring. And with this, fist fight for talent and retention being such a critical thing today, maybe talk to us a little bit about what is internal branding and communication in your mind.
Well, I think we're beyond the fist fight. I think we're into the knife fight, and the guns are coming up pretty quick. The war on talent right now is all about differentiation. It's not about who can offer more money, because guess what? If I offer $30,000, somebody else will offer $40,000. When they offer $40,000, somebody else will offer $50,000. Mm-hmm. So people are only as loyal until the next offer comes down the pike. So going strictly on being able to offer more money is not going to help people. People want to know, why should they come and work for you? What's the value? What's the culture? What's the brand? What are you guys trying to achieve? Who do you achieve it for? What are your goals and aspirations? What are the cool things that happen inside your company that differentiate you? And that's a story that companies need to be able to tell. Yes, you need to have a competitive wage. There's absolutely no question. You can't be $50,000 underneath the fair market value. But if you are the person that's close, if you're in the ballpark and you can tell a better story, and it's a true story, it's not just something you're going to make up, and as soon as they walk in the door, they're going to look around and go, this isn't them. If you can live that story, if you can live that brand and have a culture that makes people go, wow, I want to be part of this, the money dissipates. Because people want to be part of something interesting. They want to be part of something that's going somewhere. They want to feel valued and needed and, for lack of a better word, loved.
So I think a lot of our clients are dead on what you're saying. They just don't know how. And I think, Melissa, one of the things, we wanted to talk to Ben about is how does a company come up with an internal brand story? What's the execution model or the components that that people would do, or you've seen, work with clients?
Exactly. I mean, the first thing you need to be honest with yourself. I'm not Google. I'm not 100,000 person company.
Right.
I'm not Netflix. I'm not Apple. The question is, who are you? Who are you as a company? What are the things you live and die for? What are the things that are important to you? How do you treat your people each and every day? How do you treat your customers every day? What are the things you're trying to do? What's your aspirational goals? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal that you're looking at 5 years down the future? And what are the problems that you solve, and why are you solving them? And if you can answer those questions, you're on your way, because that's what it is. It's about telling people, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is why we do it. These are the people that we do it for. We're not for everybody. There's 99% of the world that is never going to care about what we do and why we do it. But this 1% of the world really, truly cares. And we can affect that 1% of the world, and we can make that part of the world that much better because of what we do. That's our mission statement. And when you can breathe that into the life of your organization and get people to actually believe it, not just say, they're not just words on a wall. They're not phrases that are, trumped out once a year by the CEO in an annual general meeting, but it's something that's actually lived day to day. People will get behind it, and people will believe it. And people will tell this not only to their coworkers, but people that are, potential coworkers, and also to clients and vendors for that matter.
For sure. So you're talking there about defining your mission and your values. So so let's just say, play that out. That's done. Okay. So now how do you include the employees in that and develop that out and execute?
Yeah. I mean, it's not the fact that it's done. I mean, the fact is getting your employees part of this,
right?
And part of the building of the mission, vision, value is important, because it can't just be, I mean, I have taken more boards of directors on these wonderful retreats to resorts, in far off areas, sat them in boardrooms, and we've come up with these wonderful mission, vision, value statements. And they go, yeah, that's it. That's who we are. And then they try to sell it to the general population within the company, and it doesn't ring true. You need to get your people involved. You need to have people throughout the teams involved in developing this, to sit there and say, does this ring true? Because then you build brand champions.
Right.
If they're involved in building this story, if they're involved in telling this story and being the champions of the story, and being that inner circle, and realize that, there's people throughout this organization, pockets that are involved in this, they'll tell everybody else within their team, who will tell other teams, and it will propagate from there. But if it's just something that comes from the C-suite and it's tone deaf to what's happening throughout the rest of the organization, it's not going to go anywhere. So that's the first thing. And I can't stress how important that is, because if you don't do it right, it will not land. And if it doesn't land, it's not going to have any meaning. So now from there, go ahead, Rick.
No, go ahead. No, Melissa and I have been to the kickoffs. Okay.
Yeah.
And we too have worked with the executives on the theme. And, at 212 degrees, water boils, and this year it's a shark attack, and get in, got in. Like we've and everybody, after about 6 Bud Lights, they forget what the heck the mission, vision, value was, right? So
and I've been that keynote speaker up on the stage leading the charge.
I know. And people, someone listening right now is saying, okay, great. Can you give our audience maybe some specific tactical things that you've seen work? Because employee engagement we're seeing right now is like more critical than ever. And I think what you're talking about is really the bloodlines to make sure that they get it, they believe it, they understand and are a part of it. But what would be some kind of operationalizing components? Like, are you talking, for example, like, is it newsletters? Is it videos from the celebrity CEO? Is it like, what if a company wanted to do what you're saying? I think they'd be a little loose-footed in terms of how do I do it? Like, what are the pieces?
Exactly. For large to enterprise level companies, what we do is we build internal podcasts. And it's a weekly podcast that's talking about different aspects of the company, that's building in culture and DEI and purpose and vision and new product development and all sorts of things, and all bringing it back down to culture and all bringing it down to brand. And being able to sit there and making sure that the message is constantly being repeated and it's constantly being integrated into what's happening now. And how does what we're doing now, affect what we're going to do in the future? And it's all about ongoing communication. In small organizations, it's team meetings. And it's being able to have the ability for everybody in the organization to speak up and everybody to have their own voice. My big belief is leaders speak last. Leaders speak last, and it's about, what do you think? And go around the room and let people think, hey, here's a point. What does everybody think about this? Now the leader speaks. Now they don't give away their hand. They don't say yes or no or right on or whatever. At the end of the meeting, then they sit there and say, well, this is how affects us. And this is where we are. This is where we're going. And this is how we as a team are going to help us get there, because this dovetails with the purpose, vision, mission, values, brand of the company. And it's ongoing. It can't just be one thing. Yes, newsletters are important if people read newsletters. You can't just throw a newsletter out there and hope that people are going to read it. It's got to have value to it. And it's got to explain not only the what, but the why and where we're going next. And that has to do with corporate videos, that has to do with social media, that has to do with team meetings, that has to do with the golf tournament, that has to do with the Christmas, the Christmas party or the year-end party, whatever you want to call it. It's about the ongoing, consistent communication that happens day after day after day within the organization, because it can't just be a one and done. If it's one and done, no one's going to remember it. Nobody's going to do it. But it all starts, and I'll tell you where it all starts: onboarding. It starts from the second you give somebody a letter of intent. Your onboarding starts way before they get in the door. And you need to make sure that people feel listened to, understood, and valued throughout the organization from day one. They need to make sure that they feel important. You need to make sure that they understand where we are as a company, where we came from, where we are, where we're going. They need to understand how they fit in, how they belong, and how they help the company succeed. And that starts from day one. So if we don't onboard our people properly, within 90 days, 50% of those people have one foot out the door, because they're sitting there going, well, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Why am I important? Wait a second, somebody just offered me maybe I'll take a look at that. But if people are embedded, they'll stay.
No, I'm drinking your Kool-Aid. I'm with the onboarding piece, I always tell our clients, no one will be as excited to work for your company other than the time when they sign the offer letter and day one they start, right? And often we actually suggest to our clients, like, get them up and going on some training programs before they even start, because you'll have a dipstick on their level of interest day one when they get there. And people often are like, oh no, I don't want to, interrupt their time. But back to the onboarding, which I agree with you, like, get us into your toolbox if you can. Like, what specifically? Let's take the tech sector. You're familiar. We're familiar.
All right, let's take the tech sector.
I hire an IT analyst or an IT specialist, whatever. And it would apply in any industry. And I signed my letter of intent today, and I got my 30 days notice until I start with, your company type of thing. What would be some kind of things that, someone could do in that 30-day window, if I may ask? All
right. How about, with the email that goes out with the letter of intent, a 5-minute or less Loom video from this person's boss talking about, welcome to the team. This is where we're going. This is the day that you're going to start. We're excited about it. Here's some things that you want to think about. These are the things that we're going to do on day one when you walk in the door. And if you have any questions, here's my email, and feel free to get in touch with me at any time beforehand. The day they walk into the office, have everything prepared. Don't sit there and spend the first day filling out paperwork. Send them the paperwork information if you can ahead of time. Most of you guys have got, tech stacks up the wazoo, where you should be able to give them something where they can self-populate the stuff a week before they walk in the door. So the first day they're not sitting there filling out paperwork. Have their desk clean and set up ready for them, have their computer set up, have their phone set up for them, have a bunch of promotional products sitting on their desk, hopefully in the right size to make them feel welcome. Because guess what? The first thing they're going to do is they're going to take a picture and they're going to put it up on Instagram and Facebook. Say, wait, welcome. Have a big banner there where they can take a picture and you put their picture up on the first day on your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page or whatever, welcoming the person to the office. Make sure you set up a meeting with their team the first day, or a lunch to sit there with your team, to sit there and say, let everybody get to know each other. Assign them a mentor for the first 30 days or 60 days that they're in the company, to show them where the bathroom is, where the coffee machine is, how to use the photocopier, all those things. What are the things that they need to use within the CRM? They've never used Slack before. Have somebody who can give them a quick lesson on Slack. It's little things like that make the difference between somebody walking in the door and walking out again, and walking in the door, parking, and being there for 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah. And, you mentioned CRM. Normally that's the first month of training anyway.
Or the first 30 seconds that most people say, oh, there's our CRM. Okay. Go figure it out. Go figure it out.
What about, listen, you said any question goes. Let me throw this at you. What about in a virtual setting? A lot of companies now are moving to 100%. A virtual environment where, Jimmy or Jane, they don't go into an office on day one. And in fact, they don't go into an office ever. And they may meet people once a quarter, any suggestions like in terms of the virtual setting?
Yeah, I mean, I know people that over COVID have had 5 new coworkers show up in their world, and they still have not yet met them physically. They're across Canada, group. They're not in Vancouver. They're across the country. They've never met them, and those the biannual conferences that usually happened didn't happen during COVID. So the big thing is to make sure you as a leader assign time for these new people to get to meet their coworkers, Zoom calls, WebEx, whatever, phone calls, whatever, and get them to be able to have a mentor that they can sit there and say, look, I'm flying blind here. I'm in my apartment in Etobicoke, everybody else is on the side of the world. I'm not really sure where to start. And I don't know what to do. And having somebody that they can ask those dumb questions to, because no question's dumb, but they feel dumb to you, and somebody who's there to be able to sit there and say, look, let me give you a little bit of advice. Let me give you a little bit of hand on this. And it would be really nice if companies realize that the value of this and compensated the people that are mentoring, for doing this, as well, giving them a little bit of help, because it's what they're doing it's going to lead to the ROI of the company. But it's being able to make sure these people feel welcome, having a welcome kit being couriered to their house the first day that they work there, making sure that their laptop is set up, is set up, and their cell phone gets delivered to them the day or 2 days before they actually start, and it's all set up properly, that somebody's actually gone and looked at the tech and made sure that all the programs are up and running, and that their email is set up, and that they're all their IDs are there. Just little things like that make all the difference. And then it's setting up regular conversations talking about expectations and accountability, not only as the leader for the employee, but for the employee of the leader. And there's got to be that two-way accountability and expectations. And it's got to be verbalized, and it's got to be agreed upon. So both sides know what they can expect from the other and what's expected of them, and what the ramifications are if things don't go the right way. Because if people understand, if people know where the line is in the sand, they stick to that line in the sand. If they don't think there are any rules and they think that everything is an exception, that's when chaos ensues.
I see a lot of internal communication now going on, that actually lack of internal communication. And a lot of it's through text. A lot of it's not the human element. I really like your idea, the internal podcasts. And if you're a smaller company, it could be a quick video recorded on your phone that's disseminated to the team. I mean, just so it humanizes the message, because we all know what we read can be interpreted in different ways. And especially when you're trying to suggest, changing direction or correction or, hey, I asked you to come on today and talk about this topic because I think a lot of companies have lost focus of their internal brand story, which you're talking about, both, and it starts at the onboarding, great point. And then it's got to be a focus, I think, of agencies like ours or yours to help them, move their message internally and keep it fresh and keep it exciting so people actually watch or listen to the thing. But I just want to say thank you very much for coming in today. You shared some really practical things I hope our audience consider, because this fist fight, you call it worse for talent right now. I don't think it's going away. And, we need to keep our people tethered to the raft. Sorry, Melissa.
No, I was just going to say lots of great insights. Thanks so much, Ben. We really appreciate it.
So where do people get ahead of you, or get a hold of you, buddy? If they,
the best way to get in touch with me is either through LinkedIn. People can find me at Your Brand Marketing, or through my website, which is yourbrandmarketing.com. My phone number and my email address is in the top right-hand corner of my website. People can book a 30-minute free consultation to sit there and talk about, their challenges and how we can help them. There's lots of free ebooks, and there's lots of ways that we can sit there and help people. So I want to find out what your challenges are. I don't want to find out what the general challenges are. I want to know what your specific challenges are, and then we can fix them, because I don't like speaking generalities, because no two companies are the same.
I got you. I got to go now and cut a video for my team.
Anyway, and I've got to go mentor.
Hey, Loom is your friend. Loom is your friend. It's a beautiful thing. It's simple. It's free, and it's a Chrome plugin. So why not?
Hey, good job today. Congrats on everything you're doing. I think you got some great content out there, and thanks so much for joining us today on the Smarketing Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Next week. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Smarketing Show. If you enjoyed today's show, please like, share, and subscribe to get the latest B2B insights to help you market and sell to win.